And so you have arrived, I have arrived, we've all arrived. It's a full moon in Virgo. Virgo. Which can be all about being very meticulous, methodical, rules, finances, and relationship. So what's your relationship like? Hi Kathleen, how are you doing today on this fine afternoon? I have found myself another new, beautiful little spot. It's really, really rad. Where the way I have the camera set up is like, you want to see this. I feel like I'm in Harry Potter land. This is really, really cool. And I just wanted a little bit of shade because the sun is super, super strong. Hi Sherry, how are you, darling? Yeah, it's gorgeous. You know, this is going to be our last warmer day. It's going to cool off for the next couple days, and I'll be supporting this weekend for yoga teacher training, Kundalini, and so I'll be a little bit more limited on my ability to go live. But I was really feeling, hey Heather, how are you? This full moon energy that we've been leading up to, I don't know how all of y'all have been handling it. The full moon is just before 8 this evening, Eastern Standard Time. I'm not an astrologer. I probably don't even need to look at astrology and just know and sense for myself how the energy feels, what's going on around me. I just tap in and tune into what I sense comes up when I do my practices in the morning, my meditations, because different things will drop in. It could even be based on a dream I wake up out of. There's just so much that the more I go within, the less I'm going without, the less I'm having to look up, hey, what's going on in the world? It just validates a lot of what I feel quite often. I don't always need to go out there and check and say, oh, look at that. Yeah, that's right. It's a full moon. It's pretty obvious anyway, because if you've been looking up in the sky like I have, it's right there in your face. It's like, hello, I'm a big full moon. See me in the sky, bright as I am, illuminating your path home. So today I was really sitting with, ironically, stirring the pot. How when we really go within and we notice our habits and beliefs and we're able to witness. Hi Jamie. Hi Stephanie. Yesterday I was discussing how we can look at someone else and feel sorry for them, but that's really not about them, it's about us, and how feeling sorry for someone else is just projecting what we personally could not relate to because we know it would make us feel bad. So we feel pity is really, gosh, I could never see myself going through it. Because you only have your experience to compare to. So we're always comparing, and technically that means we're always judging. And when we use the word discernment, which is a better word in my opinion, my sister and I have talked about this over the years, that instead of judging, which you feel like you're really like labeling and putting people in boxes is really what we mean by judging, right? You know, distancing ourselves, judging. Whereas discerning is, how may this align with me, or how may it not align? If something aligns with you, you're able to discern. I've been through this experience, here's what I know, and I'm really grateful that maybe that person has shown me what it is I've already experienced and no longer want to continue with. So there's a lesson in it all. They're noticing how strong we are with our attachments and beliefs and how we project them and try to impose ourselves upon others often. It happens quite regularly. We just don't always stay mindful and aware in what it is we're thinking. See, again, whenever we come back to being present with this mind, this monkey mind, I'm telling you, it goes off in tangents. It'll be chasing its tail if you let it. And it does. I know for myself, when I sit in meditation, I'm like, okay, this one thought just won't go away. And there's a beautiful meditation for it. You can just chant Ek Onkar, Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad, Ek Onkar. You do that 5 times. The theory is the vibration is supposed to shift by the stimulation of the nadis, the nerve endings, and the tongue hitting the palate, and that it actually it's a sound current, so that it changes mantra It's a projection, mind projection, so that when you put your focus somewhere other than where that thought was, and you use a mantra to shift that, then it allows to shift the energy, the vibration of whatever the thought was. So I've used it in the past, and I'll be the first to admit there have been times where I just got to keep on chanting it, right? Yeah, and in fact, I have to be very attentive to Buddy, because if you don't watch him, he's licking a hot spot. And so, they overgroom when they're uncomfortable. And there's no coincidence we have a full moon, so he's been extra anxious, extra attentive to the wounds. And so it really is like, what I like to say, it's like that crazy figure eight. You just keep going in circles, or you can say a circle. I just see it as a crazy figure eight. Stop. He's actually right here, and I'm just keeping my eyes on him, I got your number. Yeah, you're a good boy. Yes, you're a good boy. And so we have to be very attentive to our minds. We have to be mindful of our thoughts and breathing and bringing it back to the present. Because when our thoughts go off on a tangent, then we can bring it back. The minute you catch it means you're present enough to witness it and to recognize it. Sit with it. And quite often what I've had to do, as big of a pain in the butt it can be, is sit with it to the point where I'm like, ugh, let me grab my journal, whether it's handwritten or typed on my iNotes in my messenger or my phone or something, to the point where I'm literally like, okay, what is this trying to tell me about myself? And in my case, I've used it as a tool to heal my inner child, because that's what I learned through a lot of my Kundalini training and through Beyond Addiction and the programs that I've taken. And so I take my left hand and place it on my heart and my right hand on my belly, and I close my eyes down and I ask, what is this trying to tell me about myself? What is it in this moment I can glean from this? And I even will tap into my inner child and say, what is it you need me to know? I embrace you here and now. I'm sorry if you have at any point felt abandoned, but I am here and I'm seeking your wisdom, because our inner child will give you the wisdom. And the wisdom could be as simple as you're acknowledging them. Acknowledging your inner child that, wow, you know what, you noticed me, and so therefore whatever it was just goes away, and something else more beautiful comes and unfolds. And so when I've sat with repetitive thoughts that I otherwise would want to suppress down or ignore, that's when I found wow, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's what that was about. It had nothing to do with where the thought really was, but when I traced it back to the origin, to maybe a childhood experience, to who knows what. It quite often could be anything. I've gleaned so much more wisdom into knowing myself and seeing where the patterns originated, whether it be from my family, friends. Usually I found it always will go back to my youngest years. The formative years of 0 to 6 is what typically has the most impact on us. And then anything after that seems to be either repetitive patterns, because of the cognizant theory that it's out of your mind, but it's still in it still exists. And so something we may not even remember. There's a lot of memories in my childhood I've totally blanked out, and I don't know if there's a memory that needs to surface or not. Sometimes I wonder about that. Sometimes I wonder, did this happen in my life as a result of my needing to conjure up a memory, a visual or something, or is it necessary? And so, yeah, I think we're constantly on the mend, healing, rewriting our stories, becoming what it is we came here to be, being the human in this essence, this soul embodiment, right? It's actually a beautiful gift, and every morning I know I feel blessed and I am grateful, and so I continue to return to, wow, how blessed am I to be able to take this walk, to be able to share these random thoughts and sensations and whatever comes up, and it helps. If it helps someone, even if it helps one, If it helps nobody, that's okay too. There's no purpose, there's no attachment for me. It also feels good, for it's also just as cathartic as me speaking it, as it is writing it, as it is expressing it in whatever way, shape, or form it comes out. I love to dance, I love to sing, even if I'm not the best singer, I still like my voice. I like to chant, I like to move and be expressive and creative. All of it is relevant to me because it's an expression of the soul within. And so going back to yesterday, and I was saying how we can look at someone and we can feel bad for them, but that's really not about them. It really is about ourselves. And that it's really going to come back to the essence of our belief systems and the experiences we've had and how they've formed our opinions and formed what it is we like or dislike. Because every experience that we have, which is a blessing in itself that we're able to have an experience, is unique to each individual person. And so when I see somebody and I think, oh my gosh, I could never, it's not about them. And maybe I seek to help them because I see or recognize it within the other person, something I myself have been through. And isn't that what we typically do, especially for those of us who we're the victim of our stories, we're the victim of our lives, and we feel we want to vindicate and help others who have also been through the same thing. Being the victim of child abuse or molestation or sexual abuse, any of those things, I know from my personal experience, it's very easy to want to solve and heal every single person because, gosh, I wish somebody had been there for me. I wish somebody could have stepped in and fixed me. I don't want to suffer. I don't want someone else to suffer what I suffered. And so it's very easy to get caught up in the vindicator. You know, you want to be the victor because you feel like you were not the victor in your circumstances. So it's a way of thinking you're giving back. There's a positive way to also harness and hone that energy is what I found in my life. That if we stop telling the story and we just show people, listen, this is what happened to me, but look, it is not what defines me. It is not me. That even though I had this experience, it's not a bad thing. It just was an experience, and I can walk away from it completely whole and recognize that this is the contrast of life. In order to recognize and appreciate what it is that's going right for us, we have to also sometimes go through what isn't so right for us. And so, again, I love to use this analogy of like we're swinging on a pendulum. The lighting's actually really pretty under here. I like this. You know, you can swing on your pendulum. I like to swing. Anybody else? I swung on a swing the other day. I don't remember the last time I did that. But when you're on a pendulum swinging in one direction or the other, they're both extremes, right? The neutrality is coming right back to the center and recognizing that those extremes won't exist without the other, but yet they only exist when one is out of balance. And so when we come back to our neutrality, we come back to recognizing, you know what, I dislike that and I like that, but you know what, I don't have to choose. I can just come right back here. And then when I see somebody else is going through something I also have been through, I don't have to jump up and say I need to fix them, because each of us has an experience specifically designed for our soul's potential growth, our purpose for living here in this life. And so it's not our job to go out and fix people. It's our responsibility to live in authenticity and integrity, aligned with our souls, and flowing with what was meant to unfold in our lives. And so it's almost the same as resistance to want to fix people. You know, you want to be in action, right? Not inaction, but action. But yet you want it to flow naturally so that you don't feel you're having to work hard at it. Although we've been taught and told, oh, we should work hard because nothing ever comes without hard work. Well, the hard is really always going to be mental hard. It's only the limitation of the mind that says this was difficult because we're resisting it at the same time we're doing it. The only time it's really going to be easy is when it just feels good and you've surrendered to the flow of it and embraced it just as it is without trying to make sense of it or say, this isn't working because of this, da, 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 da. And we can so easily get caught up in that, right? I know I have. If you get caught up easily in the complaining, you've taken yourself out of your personal power and you've opened up Pandora's box to keeping yourself stuck. Okay, so maybe you catch yourself doing it a little less every time, but just be mindful of when you do that. When I resist things the most, that's when they seem to get the hardest. When I want things to go a certain way and I'm trying to force it, it's exactly the same. It's just as difficult, if not harder, because unless it's in a natural flow, when it's meant to be, and I do believe in divine time, then you're going to find it more difficult. The challenge, again, is always going to be the mind. And the patience is what lies behind that. Because in the mind, the patience says, I want it now. I want instant gratification in this moment, right here, right now. I don't have time for this. Guess what? If you don't have time for this and you don't think you have time for this, you're going to be forced into needing to wait. It creates the time and the waiting even more. It'll be more impactful to the point where you're going, I can't believe I had to wait. Well, guess what? That's all the more reason you're going to wait. So if you can just relax into it, it's kind of like when you're in the water. You can swim you can swim against the current or you can go with it. And just opening up to that flow is going to really allow your life to unfold in a more beautiful way. And this is just me. This is what I've felt. And I've had my own mental challenges, obviously. I'm speaking from experience here. We can't try to force anybody else to catch up to where we're at. I read a beautiful article the other day about, this spiritual guru thing where, you have all these people. And I was listening to a talk as well about being leery of people who claim to be spiritual gurus or coaches or teachers there to help serve you in the way that will help guide you. Well, we're all that. That's all of us. Because every encounter, every person that you come into contact with is going to be your teacher as well as you teach them. There's always an equal exchange, but it's whether or not you recognize and appreciate it when it's happening. Sometimes we don't realize it's the rubbing that is just as much, if not more powerful than the true, like you see it in your face teacher showing up for you. When someone says, hey, let me show you how to tie your shoes. Well, another person may show up and cause you to get really anxious and upset, but that's still just as much as teaching you as tying your shoes. So when you witness there's somebody that kind of brings up some anger or makes you feel uncomfortable, that's something within you. It's not even the other person. They're just showing you and helping you to evolve and grow. And if you think you need to fix them or help them in a way that you feel is right for them, that's really about you being comfortable. That's really about your experience, not about theirs. We could say, well, I really just love this person. I want them to do better. I want them to be happier. And you know what? If they're not asking you for it and you're not loving them where they're at, all you're doing is imposing your personal views and the idea that, number one, they're not lovable as they are. Number two, that and they're not perfect, so therefore you're saying they're not good enough, right? So you're not loving them and they're not good enough. And trying to fix somebody is just making you feel comfortable. So it's the subtlest form of control, so I've learned over the years through my trainings. Thinking we know right for someone else when most of the times we don't even know what's right for ourselves. We can see things, but we have to discern, not judge, discern how we can best serve someone else and how we can best serve ourselves. Of course, it's always going to start with serving ourselves first. You got to put that oxygen mask on so that you can help others first. It doesn't go the other way around. You'll be out of breath and you won't be able to sustain and maintain what it is you're meant to do. So as women householders, Yogi Bhajan says, keep up and you will be kept up. Quite often we play the martyr and say, well, I can't take time for myself because I have to take time and do all these things for others. They depend on me, they rely on me, but that's actually a codependency. The idea that your needs don't come first is actually the opposite. It's wrong. It's incorrect to think that you need to take care of everyone else when you have to start with self first. Because then not only will people respect you more and seek whatever it is that you may be able to help others with. Because see, again, that receptivity, nobody wants to be told what to do or how they should do things or any of that, do they? I know how strong my will and my mind is. And depending on the triggers of the words and how deep it resides within you, when someone says, oh, well, you should do this, or I would recommend you do that, depending on the depth to which you have an issue with authority figures or people trying to help you or fix you or tell you what to do, or where you feel people are controlling you, really depends on the triggers of the words. I mean, it could be something so kindly said or stated or suggested. Well, if it were me, this is what I would do. And that could still set you off. And that's where we have to go within and go, ooh, that's not even about the other person. Maybe they're just being genuinely kind and just offering a suggestion, versus they're not trying to control me. See, the mind will actually play that game like, oh, how dare you control me? Who are you? Who are you? So when we're wanting others to feel comfortable or be better or what we consider their best selves and try to help people, it's really a reflection of just be happy so I can be also happy, and so that I'm not uncomfortable anymore. Because when we're uncomfortable, that's when we're looking to fix everything around us. How much time it takes, we're really supposed to go within, because in order for our external circumstances to match our internal circumstances, we have to work on the inside so we can radiate it out on the outside. So when we think, well, I'd be happier if this condition was met, you can still be happy now. Conditions don't need to be met. It's not a conditional living. This is not conditional life. There's tons of conditions and tons of experiences. It's the matter of how you react, respond, and show up for them. When you're having an experience, it's all perfect, it's all divine, it's all a blessing. And only you know which kind. When I've looked at my past, and what really was humbling was when I was living with my father, is seeing how, as much as I know things, yeah, okay, I see it because I see it for myself. I know what I went through. Of course, I want my loved ones to be healthy, to not suffer, not deal with pain. And so I always thought I had well-intentioned motives for trying to help people and fix people. But the reality is it wasn't my job, and I didn't know that all the time, obviously. I thought I had to be there to offer suggestion or to console, or it wasn't even that I felt like I had all the answers or I knew better for the other person. I'll be honest, I had a bit of a naivete with myself and thinking, oh my gosh, I was looking at them as if I was looking at myself. And when I saw that, I didn't want anybody to suffer what I had already been suffering through or had suffered through. To me, if I could stop someone from enduring a long period, this is how I trained my mind, obviously. This is what my belief system was. That I'm showing up for this person because that's why I went through what I went through, so that you don't have to suffer, so I could share that with you. But not always was it asked for. Not always was it welcomed and received well, especially. Quite often I was met with resistance. And that lesson for me was seeing that, wow, wait a minute, okay. Before I understood that they weren't asking for it, but I also had to learn that that's a waste of energy too, on top of everything. To extend yourself in circumstances where your opinion, your experience, and your advice and consolation is not asked for or warranted, that's a total waste of energy. Why are you going to do that to yourself? So I had to look at it from both sides, because that's how I am. Very often, I know I can say, I was speaking about astrology earlier and how I can sense things without even having to look at it anymore, but I'm a Leo, so maybe I appear one way, but on the flip side, my ascendant is a Libra, which is, for me, I'm always weighing the scales. Justice and justice. I'm always looking to, again, it's about balance for me. So quite often, when I look at something, I'll find the good and the bad more so now. I feel more balanced than I was in the past. In the past, it was really easy to find a negative. But I also learned that even with the negative mind or a really good negative mind, you see something coming at you, you can find the solution immediately. It's already over and done with before it arrives. So for me, I always love the sweet spot, the sweet taste to come in afterward to remove the bitterness of what I find in the beginning, right? I'm kind of using that analogy regarding food and everything like that. And exactly, I want to be loving and encouraging for others as well. It has to start with ourselves. And so when I see something that I feel needs improvement, or maybe I see like the unfolding of something happening, and I can immediately pinpoint, oh, I see this possible potential roadblock, obstacle. As a result, I may voice that, but I'm already seeing ahead of that too, and here's what I see as solutions. It's been my mind that's been way overactive and cray-cray like that since I can ever remember. That I used to be very much more, well, I'm not going to say I was more intuitive. I've definitely been for my lifetime, in many, it seems, that when I see something and I see something unfolding, I know that others can't always see what I see. And so even if I say it out loud, sometimes it is best to just keep it to myself and let it be. And that's what I've been discerning and learning here more so than anything. It's just allowing. And it's hard. Let me tell you, people, when you see something and you're like, it wasn't asked for, let me just step back and allow it to unfold. It's not my place to put someone on the spot and say, here's what I see, unless they want to know. If they want to know, that's great. But I'm not here to fix anyone. I'm not here to try to help people in the way I feel they need to be helped. I could sit here and have a conversation with somebody, and I can see so much more deeply into what's being said through the body language, through the stories, just feeling it and just being with it. I've learned to not take it on like I used to. The empath, for example, many people talk about being empaths. Well, there's a healed empath, and then there's the empath who's also still healing, or the person that doesn't recognize that they literally reenact every one of their wounds because of the triggers that are still existing within themselves that I witnessed through another person. Yes, I feel what other people feel, but do I take it on and relive it? No, that's not my choice any longer. That was something I used to do, and that's why I brought up the subject of when you go through physical, sexual abuse at young ages, and then you become the victor. You want to vindicate everybody else who's been through that because you know what it felt like, and there was nobody there for you, and so therefore you want someone to speak up for you through what you're doing. And looking back at my childhood, and that was part of my inner child, was recognizing that I'm here to support my inner child, that even though nobody was there to fix it back then, it doesn't mean I have to go out and try to fix everyone else to make my inner child healed again. That's an inside job. And quite often I noticed over the course of my life, I witnessed where I would go out trying to fix and help others just to make my life feel like it was complete. And it was empty and void of the healing. The integration finally started happening when I started going within and sitting with it and allowing it and really feeling it fully. And that everything I see outside of myself, now I'm able to say, that is me too, whether it was past, present, future. Because I know that we all embody a piece of each and every one of us. You know, we're not just the drop in the ocean, we are the ocean. There is really no separation, so when the wind is blowing, we're all being touched anyway. The energy is constantly in motion, physically, whether it's visible or not, it doesn't matter. That it is an expression that we all have, that we're all human, right? And when you become aware of your triggers, oh my gosh, it's huge. In the mindfulness and the awareness of when it comes up and you just breathe into it and go, whoa, okay, I don't have to go there anymore. I've been down that road and I honor that. And you know what? Everybody's path is different, Libby, exactly. The reason we have different paths is because we came to have different experiences. And so if I'm supposed to have a certain experience, do you think it's going to be welcomed in when someone else comes in and tries to steer me off of my path, when my mind is really strong and my ego is like how dare you tell me what to do, right? It takes a very humble person to go, okay, I'm willing to listen to what you have to say because I'm open and allowing you because I want to hear it, versus, you know what, I really don't want to hear this right now. Let me, could you just not? There's kind ways to communicate, and this is something really key for all of us to learn. If you want advice, you want help, that's one thing. Ask for it. Learn to ask for it if you don't know how to ask for it. There's a lot of us that didn't know how to ask, and we had to learn. And it's retraining and rewriting the story, and it is constant for me. Sometimes I'm still saying no when I really know I should say yes. I was reflecting on little things like how come I just want to control earlier today, why I would want to make sure that I do these certain little things because I claim in my mind that it'll make me feel better, because then I don't have to go back and maybe the way my OCD can be a little bit, where I want to make sure it was done the way I wanted it done. There are certain things I am like that with, and you know what? Eventually that will fall by the wayside as well. I think that we're all just, we take it baby steps sometimes. And so just witnessing the mind and allowing yourself to be good with what is. And when somebody does ask you for advice, for example, and they're open to receiving it, really honor that, because number one, that's huge. That's vulnerability, and that's courage to ask, and trust, that's huge. The idea that somebody trusts you enough to reach out and ask for your consolation, that in itself, it also shows you where you're at, that maybe you are walking in integrity of something that this person witnessed in you. And that's huge, because you know what? We all want to be in alignment with our personal integrity. We want to walk our talks. We don't want to just talk the talk and do something that shows us outside of that light. But when someone trusts you enough, honor that and really be thankful to them. Even let them know, thank you so much for trusting me, because that takes a lot of courage for someone to even put themselves in someone else's hands for advice. And be very open to listening, because 9 times out of 10, do you realize when we have conversations with one another, we just want to be heard. We're not looking for solutions. We're not looking for advice. The majority of us, when we're just having our gab sessions, just rapping, right, ladies and gents too, we just want to talk. Maybe we do have something we want to get off our chest, right? Maybe it becomes vomit of the mouth, right? But I found I'll have conversations with a couple of my close girlfriends, and I just want someone to listen. And we're a lot more mindful now, so we're, hey, what would you do? Do you have any advice for me? Have you been through this? And that's who I will confront and console with. I will ask for advice from people that I know have been through similar situations and experiences, and that I respect them. So for me, it's vulnerability and courage, asking people I also have respect for, and I really do value and appreciate their personal experiences and opinions, because I know they've been through it. I won't randomly just ask somebody just because I want to hear myself talk or to make them feel better either, because you've got to be careful. Again, this is energy, and who we choose to bring into our circle. They say that you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, and you want those to be elevated people, because you want them to uplift you. You should have at least 5 people, and if you don't, that's okay, at least have 1. But to have 5 people, because 5's the number of transformation, right? To have at least 5 people in your life that you admire, respect, are further along their path than you are on yours, that's huge. We all need mentors. And even if we don't want to use the word mentor, we need someone we can turn to, somebody we appreciate and respect. And you really want to look at how they're walking their walk. Do they speak a language you respect and appreciate? Do they present themselves in a loving manner, the way you want to be presenting yourself? Or are they kind of like, well, I like what they have to say, but they're vulgar and they're rude and they're embarrassing to be around out in public? I'd be rethinking some of the people you're hanging with, because I know in my past, I used to hang out with people And I was embarrassed being around them the way they acted out in public. So what was that saying about me? I didn't want to hang with people who were like bringing me down, making me feel sad and disrespected or less of who I was. I wanted people who themselves were uplifting themselves and myself. You know, when someone's already maintaining a level of integrity and walking their talk and they're already successful in what it is they have set out to do, that's what you want to surround yourself with. Hanging with people who are lower, and I'm not saying that you have to put yourself on a pedestal. This is a completely different, this is about self-growth. This is about your own potential. Yes, you're going to be yourself, also that same person who's going to uplift someone else. But when we're looking to grow and evolve, we also have to consider the relationships we hold sacred for our personal growth, and then the ones we also will serve. Now, that doesn't mean you need to sit down and write a list of who does what and go, oh, wow, look how I can serve this person, because that's a lot of ego too. We're not talking spiritual ego. And this goes back to what I mentioned about being very cautious about people who claim to be a guru, a coach, a mentor, somebody who can bring you higher and they can show you what they've done and it should work for you. You know what? We're all going to serve each other. Everybody has something to offer, and you have to find your way. I will never tell you that my way is the best way, because God knows I've been through some trials and tribulations I wouldn't want to wish on anybody else. But you want to choose somebody who makes you feel like you can trust them. They're going to listen to you. They're not going to necessarily enable you either, though. They're going to challenge you to grow. You want people in your life that are willing to say things to you you may not want to hear. And that in itself you should respect, because they're not trying to candy coat things unless they're saying it nasty. I mean, there is a compassionate way to say things to you to uplift and elevate you that are not going to demean you in any way, shape, or form. So you want people who are going to support your growth in so many different ways. Sometimes there are a lot of people out there, and they will pull you in. I've been there. I've spent thousands of dollars in programs, workshops, online stuff where I went, you know, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And God love them. I bless them. It was an experience I clearly was meant to have so that I could learn from this, to trust my inner gut. Again, your inner guidance system, it's going to tell you every time. You got to listen to your own intuition, your into me, I see, right? Intimacy with self. That's the only way you're really going to grow, is when you trust it and go with the flow. That's the only way you're going to grow, when you trust that and go with the flow. See, hashtag that or something, because every time I say something like this, I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm going to have time to go through and write down some of these really good things I even liked hearing come out my mouth. If anybody caught that, I'll say it again, just type it up for me, would ya? Hi Carla, hi Sandy, hey Diane, how are y'all beauties doing? The only way you're going to grow is if you surrender and allow yourself to flow. And go with the flow. There's no coincidence. Yes, people are going to come in your life, they're going to challenge you, they're meant to. Life wasn't meant to be, well, it is supposed to be ease and grace, but we have to have the contrast too. So it's all divine in however you look at it. The ease and grace can also be in the chaos, people. How silly is that? Well, it's the mind, and the mind will play tricks on you. So why not use the mind and trick yourself into believing something better is in that stuff that looks horrible? Hey, you know what? Flip the switch. You've got control. The only way you're going to grow is if you surrender and go with the flow. Thanks, Jax. I love you. What? Hey! I got to shave. Anybody else? I love you all. Thank you for typing that. I truly appreciate it. Oh, look, I get better lighting if I put my arms up. I actually need to do this. My neck is really bothering me. I'm like super tight and tense. Anybody else feeling the intensity of this full moon? My physical body has been feeling it for several days, right? Oh my God, Angela, thank you. So like, for example, a couple days ago, I'm just going to use my physical body situation here. My legs, y'all, if you saw that silly video, it's not a waddle. A waddle is a movement. I was hip swaying, but okay, that's a little joke, internal joke that we have at home. So my legs, I went to sadhana Tuesday morning and we did Awakening to the 10 Bodies and we did 54 frogs, okay? If you've watched any of my Kundalini videos, the frogs are my favorite. I have this whole thing about making what might be the hardest things. Actually, I really do like doing anything that works my legs. I always have. I've always loved squats. So to me, it's like, okay. And I liked yogic squat because I found it opened up my hips and my lower back. Exactly, Jax. Oh my gosh, that's security. That's like sexual organs. That's like your creativity, expression, so much. Oh my gosh. When you get down really, really, oh yeah, I know I'm not going to be able to go all the way. I can do this because I know you'll hear me. I'm not going to hear anybody anyway. But like a true squat, it's like your knees are over your heels. So I used to teach aerobics too, by the way. I taught kickboxing. I did all sorts of fitness stuff in the past. And then there was the whole marathon period of my life. And one of the things that I learned was it's really important when you do squats that your knees don't come over your toes and that you literally sit back into the butt, right? And that your heels slightly wider than hip distance apart, right? You're almost elevating on your four corners of your feet, right? With the arch pulled up as well. When you sit back, you let the butt go back, but you're not like going like this. You're not sticking the butt up. You're like squatting and you're trying to bring the knees, keeping them over the ankles, right? It's a lot of intense. In fact, Tom and I have talked about this. If it interests anybody, we may play and do some videos in the future. We've been talking about doing that because that'd be a lot of fun. But we've got a lot of stuff going on in the background. So with squats, I've always loved them because they also, when you do them properly, you're working the booty. Hey, listen, got to have a little junk in the trunk. I'm just saying. Sometimes you got to fight with gravity in a good way. And so there's squats. There sounds like a boat's coming in. There's squats and then the yogic squat. Wait a minute. So the yogic squat, if you didn't know this, over in India, people will sit. This is how they sit for like bus stops. Literally. Oh, it's hard to see me, isn't it? Well, literally we'll sit down like your butt's sitting on the ground with your knees. I'll do it out so you can see it better in a second. So it's like with the back straight. Oh. Now I did that one for Ella as well because Ella and I were conversing about doing this yogic squat. It took me a while to get to that position where it was comfortable. It wasn't always easy, but it takes practice and consistency and dedication and devotion to self. Again, this is whether it's mind, body, or soul, it's all connected, right? So getting into that yogic squat is huge for all of us because it's opening up the hips, it's opening up all those emotions. It's literally like releases the lower back, which is what pulls on the hamstrings, the psoas, the piriformis, and then there's that IT band along the sides of our legs. There's so much that goes on with just simple squats, especially if we sit in chairs for too long, because then you're squeezing in, right? The psoas muscles, the inner hip creases. Y'all have a lot of tension in there. That's a lot of built up emotion, right? We're holding on to stuff in our hips. And so, just thought I'd share that. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Hi, Anita. Hi, honey. I hope you're all having an amazing day. If you're feeling this physical pain, like this tightness, this tension, I find that I get this often around different shifts in energy in the moon. And again, I was reminding myself as I was saying it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a full moon. The moon is closer to the earth. I'm feeling the pull, the tug, the tension, the tightness. Oh, I'm a little stiff. What's going on? So our courage, ladies, is in our thighs, and men too. So you want strong thighs. And the same with your pelvic floor, with your navel point, your navel center. We need to have a strong position of power. That is where we want to express ourselves. That point, that navel point, That's where our personal power lies too. So you got to have the courage to support the navel point and come up through the heart with this expressive love to communicate what and express who you are and what you came here to be. And then maybe you're having pain, like, okay, here are my areas. So obviously I have my right hip's been a little bit tight, my IT bands, my legs, my lower back, in between my shoulder blades, big time. Like seriously, I'm still dealing with this right shoulder thing. You got to move the body to keep the flexibility. Drinking more water during these moon transitions. The moon being full, you want more water. And depending on where you live, it doesn't matter. You should be drinking lots of water anyway. Hydration is key because when we're emotional, we're irrational. And if we're emotional, the chances are we're out of balance in the water department because the water rules our emotions. Just sharing that as well. And that's something I've learned in my own life through personal experience. I'm getting emotional. Let me drink some water. I kid you not. Yogi Bhajan said that one time to somebody. He said, oh, drink some water. And then all of a sudden it's like you take that moment to pause, drink some water. And what was it I was upset again about? Tench, right? Oh, honey, you're digesting a lot. I know, and we got a training weekend too. So, yes, and he also said, ladies, and this is another one I thought was comical, but it's so funny. I don't wash my hair as regularly, mostly because I don't feel like I need to. I feel like it maintains and does fine by itself. But I also, my hair is really, like, depending on what product or shampoo conditioner I use, it could be really stringy and feel like it's going to break off, and it gets tangled really easy. And then there's all the lint, and then there's like the coconut oil based stuff. The coconut oil seems to turn into this oily mass, and it gets thicker, and it creates just as much lint as lint does, I find. But he said, I know that was a tangent in itself, stuff in my head just sharing. So Yogi Bhajan also shares that there was a man who came into one of his classes, and he said, my wife, she's crazy. She's driving me crazy. He said, tell your wife to wash her hair. Well, again, the hair, right, is our antennas. Our hair picks up all of this energy in the air. It's electromagnetic, static electricity. It picks it all up. It's one big antenna, especially if you have long hair and you wear it down a lot. So we pick up all the stuff around us. We don't think we do. Sometimes we're like, oh, I don't know where that came from, but we don't think about the fact that maybe it was in the environment we were just in or the TV we were watching. It's always going to be in the subtleness of being just aware in the moment. Hi, Rebecca, beautiful. We just need to be more attentive, don't we? I'm just saying that for myself. Okay, again, don't listen to me. I don't want to trigger anybody with control issues. So if you missed the beginning of this video, I mean, that's part of what I talked about, but everything really boils down to discerning and learning what it is that, we can offer advice and try to help people, but we really need to step back and just be in ourselves. When we step in, when we're truly in our own personal power, there's no need for us to try to tell people or even think we know how to fix or help someone. If someone wants our advice and shows up vulnerable and courageous enough to ask for it, that's a blessing, that's an honor. It needs to be, respected and held like in reverence that, wow, this person trusted me enough to show up and ask for help and guidance. And when that happens, then you need to also show up and also exhibit, right? So we have to be in the integrity. Thank you, Katie. I truly appreciate hearing that as well. We have to be in integrity and alignment of whatever it is we're doing in ourselves, in our lives, and see how others are showing up at you. Like I said, if someone's coming to you for advice, then you must be doing something right because they're asking for your consolation, your consultation, your advice. I mean, definitely always respect that and honor and never take advantage of it or downplay it. That's nothing, blah, 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 blah. Well, they're coming to you because they clearly respect and appreciate you. And if you're not doing that already, then that might be a wake up that maybe you need to look within and own it Own your power. That's really what it's going to come back to. It's self-love, nurturing, attention, going within, and then you can spread it out. You can give out what you have already nurtured within yourself. So, yeah, it's a full moon, everyone. I hope you're taking the time to just release whatever it is that's no longer serving you. Yeah, it's a wonderful life. It's just how we show up to it will dictate how beautiful it shows up to us. And so, I love you all. Throwback Thursday. If people are coming to you for advice, you are doing something right. Oh, thank you for writing that back up, because that's huge. We don't even realize that, wow, somebody actually sees something in me. Sometimes that's the wake-up call that some of us need to go, wow, I must be doing something right. And the more you get that, you can sit down, write, oh, you know what? Beyond Addiction, during my program this year, we were reminded about this merit journal. You might want to consider doing this. This is really beautiful. If you do something, whether it's for yourself or someone else, they call it a merit journal for the reason that whenever you do something good, you write it down. Try that for a week. Try it for a month. See how that feels. If someone comes to you for advice, be like, write that down. I was able to provide advice. Somebody trusted me enough. Someone honored and respected me. And I honored and respected them in return by offering them the best advice I could offer from my personal experience. I mean, it's little things like, I fed the dog today. I made sure the dog got a walk today. He's so snoozed out over here and pleasantly peaceful with the wind blowing on us over here. It's really nice. Oh, how beautiful. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Oh, I hope you'll appreciate this one. It really feels like it was a good one, and I don't even remember everything I said. I had some beautiful, beautiful ladies out there repeating the words for me, which I do. I truly appreciate it. If you see something that resonates with you, please repeat it in the comments so that I know. Sometimes I don't even remember, but like when I say stuff, like I said, I'm listening to myself, because whatever I say is a reminder for myself. The other cool thing is while I'm talking to you, there's these lizards going all and playing in this tree that I have this all set up in, and they're so big. They're not your usual little Florida ones. These are big boys and girls. My sister used to nickname all the lizards. So I hope you're all having a good day. Sometimes good is better than perfect. Remember that. I know that sometimes just showing up is half the battle, right? Give yourself that in the merit journal, right? Write it down. I showed up today. Write down all the things that you got done that maybe you didn't even think you were going to get done. Don't even worry about what didn't get done. I can do that in a heartbeat. That's usually where my mind will go. Okay, well, this is the list of things I wanted to do today. Oh, so awesome, Jax. Thank you so much for that. One of the things I really want to do today that's on my list, I want to make the lacto-fermented basil pesto. Yes, sometimes good is better than perfect. Exactly. The quote that was in our training for Beyond Addiction was, done is better than perfect, but I sometimes it's because our perfectionist minds, it's like, ugh. But yeah, done is better than perfect, because at least you got it done. And that's where I was saying earlier that my mind wants things done a certain way, so sometimes I'll just do them because that's just how I am, instead of asking for someone to do it for me, or wanting, or allowing, I should say. There we go again with that allowing someone to do it for me because it won't live up to my expectations. See how hard I am on myself? That can kick my butt. Ooh, I love that. Frog jumps on the trampoline, Debbie. Girlfriend, those are challenging. That's awesome. Good for you. Sweet, sweet, sweet. OMG. Right? Marlene, I get snuck up on so often, I don't even know sometimes what's about to happen. And that's what makes my day even brighter, is all those belly laughs. big time. So again, let's see what else. Anything else that I might drop in that needs... Just glean your own wisdom. Be ecstatic in your own joy. Be happy with where you're at in your life. Try not to judge about the whole where you think you should be and where you are judgment. Like really discern, like where were you a year ago and where are you now, and see if there's improvement. And if there isn't, where can you improve and what can you release? You know, I'm still working on it. There's always something I can grow in my life and evolve from and work toward. But if I allow my mind to get caught up in the anxiety of getting it done in a certain time, or stuck in the past of what didn't get done, I'm just not being present in this moment. And that's where I have really strived to be really more present, moment to moment, so that the momentum continues in a beautiful unfolding. And so I know for today I had something happen that I jokingly call it Tourette's, where I was spouting something off. It wasn't directed toward anyone in particular. It just, sometimes I say something out loud when I'm agitated, and I don't necessarily expect anybody else to hear it, but sometimes someone hears it, and if it does bother them, I want to apologize. So yeah, it's be careful and mindful of the words you use, whether they're internal or external. This is a time when we are just in so much bombardment with technology, and people just spit things out, whether it's in comments on Facebook or just in a conversation, and then there's all that remorse, there's all that regret of, I wish I hadn't said that. But the reality is we just need to turn around and go, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. Is that right? Thank you. Yes. Ho'oponopono, right? I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I mean, the order to me doesn't really matter, because the reality is it's all applicable. There's always time to make up for what you feel you've wronged in your life, and sometimes it takes that courage and vulnerability to step into saying, I'm sorry. Not all of us can do it so humbly or gracefully, but it's the practice that makes us better at it and more able to do it. So I hope you'll have this beautiful Thursday. Reach out to me if you have any questions, anything I can provide you, any more further guidance. I have some blogs I'm going to start recycling and sharing and rewriting and writing as well, because I've got lots of those to share. One of them will be about how to meditate. It's an old one, but it's probably still applicable and good, is what I think. So thank you, you beautiful, beautiful beings. I love each and every one of you, male, woman, child, friends, and you are all beautiful to me. Absolutely. So have an amazing afternoon. Get out in nature, take a walk, and make sure you got critters with you too, or at least appreciate the critters in nature. So take care. I love you.